Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
All right, hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Art Fields. He changed his name to Art ClubRec. Nice. He's the founder and CEO of ClubRec, an innovative AI-driven talent acquisition platform. With over 15 years of recruiting experience, Art has led recruiting efforts for prominent companies, including DHL, DoorDash, Sun State Equipment, and Endeavor Airlines. His expertise spans industries like logistics, construction, and aviation. Through ClubRec, Art is revolutionizing the hiring process, helping businesses reduce their time to fill by nearly 40% using data-driven recruitment strategies. Art's focus on innovation and leadership positions him as a key thought leader in the recruitment and tech space. Welcome to the show, Art.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. And you have the San Francisco background now, which is where you're from. Is that right?
Not necessarily. All right. So I'm from the other.
All right. Let's back it up.
I'm from the other side of the bridge. So if you look in that background, right, you see that San Francisco, and then the other side, like the east of it, is Oakland. So that's where I'm from. Originally from Oakland, California. Okay. And so I moved to Phoenix about 6 years ago to help launch DoorDash here in the Arizona market, leading their recruiting team here. And essentially that experience at DoorDash is what led me to create ClubRec, as we were having some challenges hitting our hiring goals for the month. And a strategy that I built was we had an influx of applicants, right? So we had more than enough applicants to screen, but we just didn't have enough recruiters to do the screening. So we were asking lead customer service agents to help us screen candidates, sometimes some supervisors, which wasn't sustainable, right? Because they had their daily tasks that they had to do. And so what I in turn did was I reached out to an agency, had them loan me 6 of their recruiters to become screeners, because we didn't need them to do any recruiting for us, just screen candidates for us. And so every day, my in-house recruiters would just review resumes, put them in a queue for those outside recruiters to just screen. And they just screen candidates all day. The next day, we'll come with a full report on who's been screened and ready to come on site for interviews. And it worked. We were able to hit our hiring goals using that method, that strategy. But ultimately, I was like, I can 10x this idea and make it a business. There's tons of startups, just like how DoorDash was at that time, in hyper growth mode, that needed some recruitment support. And I'm like, okay, if I can build a platform where companies can buy a subscription and they can post their role and connect their job boards to this system where their applicants can come directly into the platform and have AI just assess the resume. So remove my in-house recruiters and have AI assess the resumes and the pre-qualification questions and the responses, and provide the employer with a comprehensive job matching report and a score, plus add human expertise. I can create an efficient process where there's already getting the first round vetted by a AI, and then the second round would be a deeper dive with an industry expert. And those industry experts would be people who actually do the job. So instead of me having recruiters join my platform, I actually go and recruit people who actually do the job. So if it's a front-end developer role that the employer is hiring for, I'll go and source for front-end developers and say, hey, you want to make some extra money screening other front-end developers? Join ClubRec, and you can become an expert screener for your role. And so any front-end developer roles goes to a dog pile of industry experts on my platform, and first come, first serve who wants to interview that candidate and make some extra money. Now, of course, we offer interview training for those role experts, because a lot of them probably don't know how to interview. So we do offer interview training for those role experts, so that way they can make sure that they're bringing their best foot and putting their best foot forward when it comes to screening candidates and reviewing them.
Right. I imagine that's a little bit of a challenge when you have, right? I'm as a nerd, I can say I know what skills are involved in a specific job, but it doesn't mean I can translate that into screening candidates.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because what you find out is that there's tons of good recruiters, and then there's way more bad recruiter. Okay, and
Okay.
recruiting, you have to have that skill of being able to comprehend and understand a job function and understand the skills and qualifications it takes to perform that job. And then also understand why that job exists with the company. Why does that company want to hire that role? What goals does that company have in place that role is mandatory and needed? Once you understand the full scope, you can be a really good recruiter and understand what you need to be looking for and how to vet an applicant. There's a lot of recruiters out there today that don't go that extra mile to learn that skill set. So they think it's just all about matching terms on resumes and then saying, okay,
Right.
that sounds good, I'll move you forward, right? But if you have like an actual person who does the job, they can't, the person who does the job, they can actually like identify this person's pretty much full of BS, Like, no, they never done this job before. They would know this. They would know what I'm talking about. I wouldn't have had to explain myself multiple times on that,
Sure.
on that question, so.
Sure. Okay. So there's a saying, hire slow, fire fast, stressing the importance of the hiring process, right? How important it is to be careful and really vet people properly up front. It sounds like there's a few things there. What are the top things that distinguish you or your ClubRec from the traditional like Indeed or other sort of acquisition or placement board sites?
Yeah, so I'm going to commend Indeed, all the job boards. They do a great job of what they were supposed to do, right? The problem when they initially launched, when Indeed and ZipRecruiter, Career Builder, all these other job boards, problem they saw was low applicant flow, right? So there's low applicant flow because let's say there's XYZ development company that's hiring for, let's use front-end developer again. Will you ever know about that role being posted or that vacancy? No, right? And there's a lot of companies that hire without having a strategy of like, hey, we need to spend money on marketing to market our roles to let people know, hey, we're hiring, right? So we can generate applicant flow. Job boards do that for companies. They promote, they market your roles, and they help you generate applicants, right? But then the problem becomes, all right, you've done a great job board. I have tons of applicants. I don't have tons of time to screen these candidates. I don't have time to review them. Sometimes which leads to a bad candidate experience, right? A candidate will apply for a job and they wait for months before they hear back from an employer,
Wow.
right?
Question.
Go ahead.
Is this also exacerbated by remote work where you might have like, I don't know, 1,000 Philippine people applying for a job post, right?
I mean,
on Indeed, is it like VAs and other sort of
there could be
strategies?
some issues. There could be some of that there as well. Like for tech companies, you see a lot of applicants, a flood of applicants of foreigners with the skills to do the job,
Right.
but that company may not like sponsor someone, or they may not be able to have the budget to have that person get on a work visa. So it's very challenging because now I've run into tons of foreigners who have the skill sets to do tech jobs, and they apply all the time. Like I was leading recruiting for Sun State, and we would post like a UI role, right? A front end role, or no, actually it was a back end role, and you post a role, and with less than 24 hours, you have like close to 200 applicants, right? So it's that alone will start generating some anxiety and build up from the recruiter, like, oh crap, I gotta review these resumes, right? And so it would be nice to have a tool that could review all these resumes and the job description and the pre-qualification question responses and provide me with the best fit candidate, so it can shortlist those 200 applicants That's
Okay.
where we come in. That's where
Sure.
we differentiate ourselves from job boards. We're not a job board. We are a tool that connects to your job board and will start to dwindle down that bucket of applicants you have to the cream of the crop. So that way
Okay.
we can help you be more efficient with your time, and you would spend your time with the qualified candidates first.
Right. Okay. And would you say that the time spent okay, let me back up. Do you have to interview all 200 do you have to review all 200 applications? Can you just take the first 20 that come in? Are there laws about that, right? You have to review all of them. You can't discriminate against people who didn't, while the posting was available, you have to review them all.
See, that's the challenge, right? That's a problem. That's a great question, right? Like, no, it's illegal. There's no legal law. There's no laws against you like having to review every applicant, right? You say you have 200 applicants, right? Let's say you have 6 pages of, and I don't know how I just divided that, but 6 pages of applicants, right? And you find your hire on page 2.
Right.
So it means pages 3 through 6, you didn't even review, right? So now these applicants get a rejection email from a recruiter or an employer, and they're like, wow, did they review my resume? Like, because I'm a great fit for this role. Like, like LinkedIn told me that I'm a 97% match for this role. Yeah. Like, why didn't I get screened? Right? That's because somebody else who was a 97% match was on page 2, and they didn't get, and you were on page 6, and they didn't get to you yet. So, so any smart recruiter would say, okay, let me go ahead and review the rest of these applicants because I know I'm going to get this role at post again. And I'm going to put them in the pool in like my hot book of back end developers, right?
Okay.
And next time I get this role open, I'm not even going to post the role yet. I'm going to go and review these individuals who applied to my job previously that I didn't even get to yet. That doesn't happen. Because the speed of recruiting and how you have to move on to the next rec,
right?
Build the next rec. You tend to just forget about those individuals who you didn't review. And so that's where also we come in at, right? Like we provide you, so you going back to your question, like, do you have to review all 200? We will. Our AI will assess all 200, right? And we'll dwindle it down to the top 10, the top 50.
Okay, so that was my next, the other question I wanted to ask was the time value versus quality for AI screening versus having a live recruiter do it. That's got to be one of the biggest costs, right? Is the man hours of having them review so many. And is 200 a big number for the positions you're talking about?
So 200, maybe it all varies based on the role, right? Okay. Some roles only generate about maybe 40 to 50 applicants. But job boards on average produces about 120 to 200 applicants per role.
Okay.
About 75% of those 20% of those applicants are qualified for the role, right? And then the other 80% of those applicants, they don't even hear back from a customer. Like they just get ghosted, So,
so speed and cost.
Speed, as far as the speed and cost, right? So speed and cost is like, if you think about cost of hire, the average cost of hire is $4,700, right? And then you have screening, you have posting a position, reviewing resumes, reaching out to candidates to conduct screens, playing phone tag, right? And then actually conducting the screen, finalizing the notes, sending those notes to hiring managers to review. Hiring managers saying, hey, I responded back to you, giving you feedback saying, hey, I would love to bring that candidate on site. And now you got to reach out to that candidate and schedule an interview. That is 7 steps part of the hiring process, right? Once you bring them in for interview, you interview them, offer. So that's 7 out of the 9 steps to hire, right? Out of those 7 steps, we do 6. ClubRec does 6 of those steps, right? And if you think about a hiring manager, right? Let's say a manager is overseeing the recruiting. That manager's salary may range between 117K to 130K, right? Based off of those 7 steps alone, there's going to probably be about 5 to 6 screens is going to take place. But to review those resumes, it's going to take about, I don't know, roughly about 3 to 4 hours, right? We equated that to be, okay, essentially, it will cost a hiring manager 600 and close to like 600 to $700 for those 7 steps of the hiring process, where it only costs us $125. So we're saving you time and money,
right,
by utilizing ClubRec.
Do you have a sort of result metrics comparing the use of traditional humans reviewing positions versus AI, and how well of a fit the candidates are over time?
Well, so we're startup, so we're brand spanking. Like we just brought on board 2 beta test clients, one that's active right now, and then the other one we're fine tuning some of our processes so that way it can align with their compliance for California hiring. And so right now the only metrics we have is with our first beta test client, where we actually reduced their time to fill by 40%. But then also we reduced their cost to hire by close to like $2,000, a little bit over $2,000.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's a lot of challenges in the space you're doing and creating all this. What's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your life and or in this space?
Man, so let's keep it professional for right now. I'll answer it professionally with it for us ClubRec and the journey we're on. The biggest challenge has probably been it's been adjusting to the roller coaster ride it is when you're starting your own business. You have the ups and the downs, and it's guaranteed to happen, right? Mm-hmm. It's guaranteed to happen. Like you have a great day. Like last week, I had a great week, solid week, right? Tons of discovery calls leading to second calls, follow-up calls, approval calls, sending over proposals, getting those signed. Like it was solid, right? But I know that there is going to be a week where I'm going to have a not the greatest week. I don't call it a bad week. I call it a developmental week, right? Where like I just learn from it, and it sucks. It sucks when like yeah, you want to learn from your losses, but like learning from mistakes can be very costly, and it's important that you make those mistakes early, right? Because when you get established and you can't afford to make those mistakes, right? You got more investors involved. You have people's lives at stake when you're employing them, right? When you're hiring people, so yeah, mistakes can get really costly. Personally, what has been kind of the hardest challenge is just balancing my time. I have 2 kids, and I'm married, and I've been with my wife for quite some time, and just trying to balance that out and really kind of, I guess you can say, decide on what are you gonna sacrifice today, right? Like yesterday, perfect example. Sundays, I start ClubRec work on Sundays. Okay, so I'll start to put together my weekly goals. My co-founder and I will start to put together our weekly goals, our targets, our sales targets for the week. Put together the prep meeting for our weekly stand-up for Monday morning. Any type of email follow-ups, I'll start generating those emails, and then put them on a delay delivery. And so I do that usually from 11 to the rest of the day. And then sometimes I'll start at 4 because my son will have a soccer game, and he plays his soccer games all the way out in Casa Grande. And so yesterday it's nice weather now, right? So I love to cycle. I love to ride my bike. Speaking of, I used to ride my bike on that bridge behind me. Nice. We lived in the Bay a lot. And so it's great weather. We're like, hey, my son just got a new road bike. He's like, Dad, let's go for a bike ride this weekend. I didn't do it on Saturday, but I got his bike ready and prepped for a bike ride. And my wife was at a soccer game, an ASU soccer game with my daughter. And she's like, hey, you should go on a bike ride. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do some work. She goes, no, you should go to bike ride and do the work later. And I know I'm like, I go on a bike ride. I'm gonna be a little tired because I'm not just gonna go ride around the corner. We're gonna do like some miles, you know? So
Right.
like, all right, let me put in 2 hours of work and then I'll go on this bike ride. If I got the energy, I'll come back home and put in some more work. So I have to sacrifice because I like to balance my energy. And that's very important. I know you probably understand that, right?
For sure.
Energy. So yeah, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to make a sacrifice today. I'm just going to work 2 hours. He came in. It was like my son came in my office and was like on the money, on the dot. Like, Dad, it's been 2 hours.
Nice.
So yeah, we went on a 13-mile bike ride yesterday, and I came back, relaxed for a little bit, and then got back to the grind.
Nice. It's for our listeners, it's October in Phoenix and the heat finally broke. So it's nice out. We go for bike rides now again.
Right.
But yeah, that's something I had kids a little later in life. And that's one of the biggest struggles I've had is the reduction in my productivity having a family. That's been very hard for me to, because I'd work, 80, 100 hours a week, nights, weekends. It was no problem. I liked what I did and I got a lot done, and it's very different as a family man.
Yeah, I know. I guess for me is like, what drives me is just there's no one in my family that has ever taken this risk of like starting their own business and from the ground up, right? That
was my next question. Was it leaving, the security of working for a bigger group to branch out on your own? That sort of risk is hard. How's that been?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I'm in a fractional role at Sun State Equipment still, which has been great. I think for listeners out there that are thinking about pivoting and going and doing their own thing, you have to think about like, okay, I could afford to do this, like to go full time with this if I didn't have kids who are very active, right? My kids are very active. My daughter was a USATF junior All-American in track and field.
Oh, wow.
So like, paying for her to travel and go to these different events, like that's that cost, like if I don't have lazy kids, but like that, very active. But like my wife, she works. And so I was like, all right, well, how much do I need to bring in to make this work? And, we did some cutting in our budget and, looked at what I needed to bring in. And when you are working for a company, you should be adding value every day, right? You should be trying to add value, and to the point where like, if a company had to do some cuts and they had looked at a roster of people to cut, your name would be like, nope, Art's brought this to the table. He's moved this needle. We've saved this much money. Like, you need to be thinking about that. What do I bring to the table here, right? So when it came to that day where like I went into my boss's office like, hey, I got this opportunity with Techstars. It's going to require my full attention. I understand if you guys need me to resign, and he was like, no, let's try to work a deal where you can be part-time. Right. And so I thought I'm very appreciative of that. I still try to add value with Sun State when I can, and they totally understand that. Sun State I'm like, hey, try Sun State, try ClubRec for free in return. Like, thank you.
Right.
And help me build this from the ground up, provide me with feedback to fine tune the product. And it's been wonderful. It's been a wonderful partnerships. But I will say that like to anybody out there, like, hey, make sure you're adding value to the point where like maybe your employer may work with you you can go after your passion projects by still working part-time for your employer.
Heck yeah, that's good. Great advice. And I think a strong testament to your value there, because a lot of companies wouldn't do that. They'd be like, if your heart's not 100% in this, we don't want you here anymore. But they obviously wanted you to stick around. That's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you reminded me of something else when you said there's good weeks and bad weeks and stuff. As an entrepreneur, that's another little challenge that a lot of people aren't aware of, that I guess it's lonely as an entrepreneur, right?
I saw this meme, right? I saw this meme the other day. It was hilarious. It was two pictures of the same woman, okay? And it was like a younger version of her, and it was an older version of her. The younger version it said she was smiling. She had a great smile. She was like smiling, right? And it was nice. It was genuine. Like she looked happy and like,
Right.
yeah, right. And it said first time founder. Then the other picture, it was like, right, it was like this stale face, and it was like second time founder.
Yeah.
And so I was reminded, like, okay, that's life in general. Life has its ups and downs, you know?
Yep.
And with a startup, it is like your child. It's your child, right? Your child is going to have their great days, and they're going to have some developmental days, right?
Right. Right.
That's what I call it. And it's the same thing with your startup, right? So everything, like there are a few companies out there that like will knock it out of the park, and it's just great. Everything is just, it was the perfect idea. It solves a problem of masses. So they see the value of it right away, right? Where with ClubRec, we had to like understand, okay, who is our actual customer? Like who's our target customer, right? And so we identify like, okay, it's small to medium-sized businesses that maybe lack a recruiting team. They lack recruiting support, but they do hire, right? And they're usually using managers to do the recruiting. So it's like, okay, let's try it out. Who do I know in my network that works for a company like that? I knew tons of people. So like I would test it with them and see what they think, and it landed, right? But that was all learning, because I was like trying to pitch it to all type of different companies and just failing. And like, one, you got to get into a flow, understand your sales, understand your demo, right? It starts to become like second nature. It almost becomes like a favorite song that you love to sing, right? And you know it word for word, and you just get comfortable talking about your business that like, and people can hear the passion in you. And I've learned another thing too about it is that like, you need to become your business, right? You need to be seen as a subject matter expert, right? Like, why would I go buy a recruiting tool from someone who has no experience in recruiting,
Sure.
never recruited before, which I can see the benefits from it. Like, hey, like a fresh set of eyes, right? But there's I guess you can say the lived experience will outweigh the person who like doesn't have the lived experience.
Right.
Mhm.
Yep. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about Phoenix. You've been here 6 years. How's that transition from Cali been?
It's been kind of it's good. Phoenix is a place where there's great potential here, great potential in regards to like a culture here. Me personally, I don't like it too much because of the heat. But I love the people, right? I love the people that I've brought into my network, to our group of friends, and so it's kind of hard to leave it now.
Okay, it's
So
a little bit of a melting pot. There's a lot of people from different places.
Yeah, I would say that like I love the people that are our little village that we built here of friends, and starting to become family. I do wish that there was always like a beach, close by. I wish there was a coastline, but there isn't. But there's great bike rides, trails that we can ride on, like riding that canal trail. You can ride that all the way up to Payson. Like, I love that. And that's my sensory. It brings me peace whenever like I'm struggling sometimes.
Okay.
I would say, but yeah, I love Phoenix. I love how, I love the sports, the teams here. Well, okay, let me back up. Let me back up a little bit. I'm not a Cardinals fan, but I am a Suns fan. I will rock with the Suns, right?
Okay.
I like the Suns a lot. I like the Mercury. I love basketball, as you can tell. I used to play ball back in the day. But yeah, my brother ended up moving here as well. So
Okay.
mhm. So
That's how it
so,
starts.
so we're slow. I know, right? We're slowly trying to move family members here, so that way, like, it can feel more like home for me. So yeah.
It's only a 5-hour drive to the beach too. It's not terrible.
5? What beach are you going to?
We're going to San Diego. Just
Oh, okay. I thought San Diego was still 6 hours, but I didn't know that.
well, maybe
Oh,
maybe
wait,
maybe we're a little too
well,
eager.
when Tim is speeding down on a highway, he makes it in 5. I got you.
Yep. But yeah, like a lot of Arizona, we try to escape the heat every summer, and we go invade
Oh, you guys.
California.
So I do. I love going up to Prescott, and canoeing up there, doing some kayaking.
Yep.
Um, we like to go up to Flagstaff, and may do an Airbnb. Like a pretty much a cabin up there. We take the kids up there when it starts to snow because I know they missed it when they used to live in Minnesota. They missed the snow, so we're like, okay, we're gonna go up to Flag.
Yep.
So yeah, it's when you think about it, like, man, they have everything here but a beach. So like that. So
Right.
like, why not love it, right? That's the reason why you saw the influx of Californians moving here.
Right. You can go hang on the boat up in Lake Pleasant or on the Salt or something, right? But it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. Definitely not the same. Yeah. What about you?
Okay.
Like, so how long have you been here?
Been in Phoenix 18 years now.
18 years. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. You got me beat
Yep.
by.
It's uh I always rationalize it coming from Minnesota that I used to run from heated car to heated building in the winter, and now I just run from air conditioned car to air conditioned building in the summer.
Right,
And it's
right,
just,
right. That air
but
conditioning is high too.
I've gotten soft, that's for sure. I'd be embarrassed if my Minnesota friends saw me reach for a jacket when the sun goes down. It's 60 degrees or 70 degrees.
Seriously, I'm about to go on a bike ride here in a little bit. I like the night bike sometimes. So with my kid, I'm pretty sure we're gonna probably have on some jackets because what is it in the 60s yet? Did it drop down to 60? I'm soft too, man. So I'm with you. All right.
My blood thinned out after moving here for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, how many area businesses have you been working with, or is it like you said, DoorDash is kind of one of the reasons you came here, but is it still regional, or is ClubRec kind of national?
So ClubRec is not national yet. We are. I know I said earlier we have 2 beta test clients, but we have actually 4 more in queue to onboard here. So I'm actually onboarding one tomorrow and another at the end of the week, which will bring us up to 4, and then 2 more that we're still trying to do some. We're trying to do some configurations in regards to us integrating into applicant tracking systems.
Okay.
But so we're growing. We're growing. Like I said, we're starting to find our sweet spot in regards to like who do we need to go sell to and how do we sell it. So right now, one of the potential clients that we're going to be bringing on board is the #1 logistics company in the world. I think you know who that is. I have strong connections with them in the past. So like,
very cool. Very
So
cool. So that's an exciting thing to have on the horizon.
it is very exciting. It is exciting. I mean, I'll be honest with you. My end game is to. I'm 41 right now. Okay, I want to retire from a W-2 by 45. Okay, and I would love to have this company sold by then, ClubRec, and start going into my real estate investment career of starting to buy apartment complexes and things of that nature, and then essentially take that that project and launch me into becoming a sports team owner. So like at least
nice.
Minority shares or something like that. I've always said that I wanted to have some stake with the Raiders, but now they moved to Vegas. That's going to be very hard to do now. Before, when they were still in Oakland, where they're like trash, but I had a chance, but like now they're not that good still, but they're in a high value area. So like it's going to be hard to like. I got to become like a billionaire in order to get in there now. So
well, they've changed some of the rules on that now. You can buy shares in some of the teams now.
Yeah,
different ways.
So tell me more. Are you interested in doing that?
I would like to own a sports team. Yes. Yes. Yeah. You want Raiders? I thought you were going to say basketball.
No. Basketball, it would have to be, I don't know, like, yeah, obviously we want to be with the Warriors, but the Warriors, have you seen how much they're valued at nowadays? Crazy. So it would have to
Is it a couple billion? I don't even know.
Yeah, it would have to be like the New Orleans Port Pelicans or something like that, or Charlotte Hornets, you know. But no, that's fine. But yeah, so one step at a time is making sure that I launch ClubRec and it, to be a successful initiative and project that I've started and led. You know, but I am also a humble leader, so I understand that, like, hey, I may be only able to take it to this level, and I may need to like find another CEO who can take it to the next step, right?
Right.
So that's, I learned that from DoorDash. My days at DoorDash is like the different phases, the different stages that companies are in, they need specific people who have expertise in that stage, you know?
Right.
And so I learned that, you know, through DoorDash, and I know I'm trying to take that same knowledge that I gained there and put it here at ClubRec.
Okay. That's more sound advice. Very, very cool. Thank you, Art.
No problem.
Well, thank you very much for your time today and sharing your insights and tips with us. For people who would like to connect with you or learn more about ClubRec, what should they do?
Yeah, so you can go to clubrec.com, or they can reach me at art@clubrec.com. Also, there we provide demos on our platform, and if there's anyone out there who is an expert in a field that they're currently in, so let's say, for example, right now we're partnering with some tech companies, we partner with construction rental companies. If you're a sales expert and you want to make some money screening other sales candidates, you can join ClubRec via clubrec.com.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Art Fields, for joining me today. We appreciate you sharing your story and insights into success and impact in Phoenix.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.